All right. Good afternoon. Come on now. Good evening, everyone. It is rather late. That's why I'm probably stumbling over my words. But I did want to give everybody a quick update on the potential weather we have overnight, and it probably will be more than a potential. Just want to give everybody an update on what we can expect and what's going on right now and what our current conditions are. So, with that, let's go to the latest satellite picture. So, this is actually a good illustration of what's going on in the atmosphere. So, you can see out in West Texas, these thunderstorms are developing pretty rapidly. And we're going to see more of that. But the attention I want to kind of focus on is the dry line. And you can kind of get a good idea of the dry line right here. That's going to be a major player in what kind of thunderstorms we see overnight. So, what we're trying to do here is we are looking at when this will come into the metroplex, all the whys and hows and all that. Now, like I said, I'm not going to go into a lot of details since it's late. It's almost 11:30, so definitely want to kind of give you an idea of what to expect. So with that, that's a satellite presentation. Let's go to the radar. And what we'll see here is you can start to see that these thunderstorms are starting to form out in West Texas. And what we're going to expect to happen is the dry line is somewhere along there. Well, that's actually not really accurate. It's more like along here. And so as time goes on, this dry line is going to make pretty steady progress to the east. And ultimately, that's what's going to cause our weather during the overnight hours. Now, there definitely is a chance for severe weather. There's no doubt about that. The good news is that this is going to come in during the middle of the night. Now, that doesn't necessarily preclude us from having severe weather, but it does tend to tamp it down a little bit. So that's kind of what we're hoping for. So let me take this line off and put this in motion here. And again, you can see this line is starting to form. You know, those pretty big thunderstorms. No severe warnings yet, but those pretty big thunderstorms just southwest of San Angelo. That again, those thunderstorms will grow into a line. Probably by the time that line gets to Abilene, you'll see more storms start to form. So with that, let's look at some graphics here. If I can get my screen to work here. Okay. Okay, so let's look at what the Storm Prediction Center is saying. So this is the latest outlook, and this is not a whole lot different than what we saw earlier today. So we're well within the slight risk category. So that's not a surprise, obviously. Now, as you can see, the enhanced areas up in Oklahoma, so they're definitely expecting to see more severe type weather, and you'll see why in just a second. So I talked a little bit about the tornado potential, and in my earlier update this afternoon, I talked about the potential for tornadoes. 5%. We want to see that to be zero, of course, but this is not really the long track supercell type tornadoes that we saw in West Texas on Saturday, but these are the kind of tornadoes that can spin up along the squall line. They're really quite hard to predict. So that's why the Storm Prediction Center is putting that at a 5% chance, because there's a chance for that. I don't think it'll be a widespread thing, but it's definitely something to watch out for, especially when the squall line moves through. The wind potential, again, that's the biggest threat I think we have with these storms will be the gusty winds and possibly damaging winds. Hopefully, we won't see a whole lot of that. And then lastly, the hail potential. That's why you saw the enhanced risk up in Oklahoma, because there's a 30% chance of severe hail up there. And like I said, luckily we're not seeing any of that. Most likely, but it's still a possibility. So, like I said in my last update, large hail, an inch in diameter or larger, which is not quite golf ball size, but close enough, and then damaging winds greater than 60 miles an hour in spots is our primary threats overnight, with the small chance of a spin-out tornado. Now, having said that, there will be some areas that in North Texas and Dallas-Fort Worth area proper that might not see much rain at all. So there is a decent chance that we'll see the squall line definitely grow and move into our area overnight. But it may break up a little bit because, as I talked about earlier today, we still have a capping inversion over us. Now, it's weakened quite a bit. And so when these storms come through, it will help weaken the cap. But I don't know if it's going to go away completely, and that will help the storms behave, as I like to say. Let's hope that's the case anyway. Okay, so let's look at the severe thunderstorm watch here. And so this is the watch. Now, it doesn't include Collin County, But again, I would say that just because it doesn't technically include Collin County, it doesn't mean that it's not going to do anything there. So it's just something that we just don't really pay much attention to that. So as the graphic says, the main threats, damaging winds up to 70 miles an hour. I don't think we'll see a whole lot of that, but we could. They are looking at hail up to 2 inches. Again, is that a possibility? Sure. Is it a probability? It's not looking like it at this point. But Mother Nature does tend to make fools of us sometimes, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. And then, of course, they do talk about the tornado or two possible. And again, I think that's the spin up variety. So, and actually, I think I was looking at my computer. I don't know that my storm prediction center graphics came up. So let me fade back to that real quick. Okay, so I apologize about that. But again, just real quick, this is a hail potential. Most of it's in Oklahoma. This is nothing new. I was just saying that, but I don't think you were seeing it graphically. It's late. Maybe you were. I don't know. It's past my bedtime. The wind potential, you can kind of see that. There's definitely a good chance of that. And there you go. Updates on the fly, live Facebook. And then the tornado threat there, 5%. Again, not a big threat, but it's there. And then, of course, categorically, that's what we're looking at. And again, the enhanced, the most intense severe weather is really going to be in northwest Oklahoma, and that's really for a hail threat. So, okay, so with that, let's go back to the radar real quick before we wrap it up here, because like I said, it is past my bedtime. So anyway, so you can start to see these storms really get going, and what I'm going to try to do, because the Abilene radar is still out, so let's go to San Angelo radar, and if that will load up here, live Facebook. We'll see if it wants to load. Oh, it's almost there. Come on, it's late. There we go. So you can see the, you can see, well, this is probably a combination of the dry line gust front, but you can see these storms. Like I said, there's no warnings yet, but I imagine there'll be some warnings on those storms pretty soon. And again, you can kind of make this out and get my drawing tool back on here. You can kind of make out what's going to happen as time goes on. So again, we're going to see this, and it's looking like somewhere between 3 and 5 a.m., something like that. This is always give or take, because these storms can really get going and move faster than we think. So the bottom line for tonight is this. Obviously, there's no reason not to go to bed if you're not there already, because nothing much is going to happen before 3 o'clock. So there's just nothing to really be concerned about. However, if the storms hold together, and they definitely could. They probably will hold together. But if they hold together and are really intense and there's a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings, then as I've always advocated, if you don't have a weather radio, I would always advise that you get one. But if you don't have that, set your phone, set something to where you can get an alarm, because in the off chance that it is worse than we think, just want you to be aware. Like I said, I think the main threat we'll have to deal with is high winds. But a hail is definitely a possibility. So hopefully we won't get the dreaded combination of both at one time. So having said that, overall, is this a dire, severe weather type situation that we should really be concerned about? I don't see that. I think a lot of things would have to drastically change for that to be the case. Like I said, the biggest things we have in our favor is that the storm is coming through basically during the middle of the night. Doesn't mean you can't have bad weather then, but that does help the situation. Tomorrow up in the Mississippi Valley, I think they'll have a really bad situation, and it's going to be the same storm. It's just going to come through there during the daytime, so they're going to have a rough time of it. So if you know anybody living there, just be on the lookout. And I would give a special shout out to Renee Lance, my high school buddy. She lives in Alabama. So if you're watching this tomorrow, or if you're up late tonight watching it now, just heads up tomorrow. I'll be watching it for you too, though. So with that, as always, I'm watching the weather, so you don't have to. Stay safe, everyone, tonight. Get a good night's sleep. You will probably be woken up. And so if you are, hopefully it won't be a big deal. If it's something to where I feel like I need to come back on, I definitely will. Hopefully I won't. But just be aware that you may see some storms tonight. So if you want to do anything to secure anything tonight, wouldn't hurt. Hopefully that's one of those things to where you do everything you need to do and it doesn't matter that you don't need to do it. Hopefully that's the case. But as you can see, even in these radar loops that we're looking at before we sign off, these storms are starting to grow and get more organized, and that will be the trend the rest of the night into the morning. And then tomorrow morning, once these move through, we'll be done with the severe weather, and it'll be rather windy tomorrow. I'll be in a west wind, and we'll probably get some West Texas dust, I would imagine. Definitely be cooler, but that'll probably be the end of our rain until Monday, and then we'll start this probably all over again. It is springtime in North Texas, and we are in severe weather season now. So, as I said, as always, I'm watching the weather, so you don't have to. Hope everyone has a lovely evening, good night's sleep, and we will talk to you soon. As always, thanks for watching.